Okay, everybody, sorry for the slight technical delay. We'll be on in just a few minutes. While we wait, if you can just let me know your name and location in the comments, and we apologize again, we had a slight delay. And then to those of you watching the archive of this webinar, I hope that you enjoy the material as well. All right, everybody, welcome. So apologize, like all great technological new inventions, we experienced a slight little delay this morning due to a technological mistake. So I'm glad everyone was able to find the stream. This is live on LinkedIn, live on YouTube, and we will be posting the archive on YouTube. So I'm Eric Tarigi, and I'm with CHRO Solutions, and I am excited today to kick off what's known as the CHRO Solutions Master Series. Joining me today for this session is Michael Wenning. For those of you who have not met Michael yet, he is a fascinating individual. He's going to share with us some of his views on the material we're talking through, and I think we're just going to have a really great session. If you can, jump in the comments box. Let us know who you are, where you're from. If you can put any questions, any thoughts on here. The last time we did this material, we had 20 minutes of Q&A, so we'll work through whatever works out. So, with no further ado, let's jump in. For most of you who know me already, I'm Eric Tarigian. I am a strategic HR executive. I've had 30 years of leading transformational HR at some of the biggest and most complex HR systems in the world. Ford, Pepsi, NBC, Universal, Comcast. I like to say I've done the assignments no one else wanted, but I got the experiences that no one else will ever get. I've enjoyed my career. I wake up every single day and love what I do, and I think everybody deserves that. So this expert series is about things that can make you better HR leaders, things that can make you better C-suite leaders, things that'll make your company stronger, things that'll help you make a difference. So what I want to start with is one of my favorite quotes, and I love this quote. And for those of you who don't know, I started life as a computer programmer when I came out of college, worked for a gentleman, Dave Bilberry, who was an amazing natural salesperson. And I know when you hear that term salesman, you think, ooh, used car. I'm going to get something forced on me, something I didn't want. And that is not what sales is about. Dave was a solution salesperson. He had me listening to Zig Ziglar and all of the old sales professionals on cassette tape in my car while I drove around and met with doctors to talk to them about their medical billing issues. One of the quotes that stuck with me is, if people like you, they'll listen to you. But once they trust you, they'll do business with you. And that is the core of what we need to do at work every day. I don't care what role you're in. I don't care what value you add or what you're trying to do for an organization. If you can't get people to trust you, they're not going to follow you. They're not going to engage you. They might like you and they might listen, but when they trust you, the magic starts. So the concept of today is, how do you build an employment brand? And why should you build an employment brand? And who should be building an employment brand? So for those of you who follow the LinkedIn stream, which I suggest that you sign up to CHRO Solutions or follow me, we did a couple polls. We do a poll of the week. So our first poll that I think is kind of meaningful here was, if you were starting a new business, what would you start with? A new product, a customer base, and we went through a couple issues. Do you know that only one person voted for, I would build my customer base first? Everybody else was focused on, what's the product going to be? Who's my team going to be? What's my concepts are going to be? And I think you're doing yourself a disservice this way. I think if you can truly understand who your customer is first, and in the M&A world, we call that TAM, right? What's your total addressable market, your total available market? Once you understand that, now you can take your product and your team and position it to make a difference, right? Because now you're going to provide solutions to people. So here's the 5 steps that we're going to talk about today in the webinar. Who are your employees? Who are you as a company? Who's your customer? Who are you serving? Why would anybody work here? And then how are you going to tell the world about this? So the second poll that I wanted to mention that was meaningful was, who has the greatest connection to your customers? And I think the options were maybe customer service, sales, marketing, and talent acquisition. So put in the comment box if you want what you think the answer is to that. And then I'll share with you what my answer is. And I don't think it's going to come at much of a surprise. But my answer is talent acquisition. So your talent acquisition team is the tip of your marketing spear. These are the individuals who are out there every single day. They're interacting with the community. They're interacting with your customers. They are making the big difference. You've got to support them. You got to give them a message. And if you're talent acquisition, you've got to think like a marketer. So let's go ahead and dig in and get started. So the first thing you need to know to build your employment brand and your value proposition is, who are they as employees? And I want you to use this section to build an avatar that represents the people that work for your company. What skills do they have? Are there unique skills? Are you a medical practice and they need oncology skills? Are you a manufacturing company and you need geometric skills? Is there special education? Are there licenses? Are you a financial firm and you need your Series 7? Is there a specific background that you need? Are you looking for people who have a mortgage license in a certain state? Do you need people who know Agile, who have worked in Docker? Like whatever that skill set is, you need to know it and define it. Then what character traits do you tend to value? Do you want people who work together on teams, or do you want the lone stars? Do you want individuals? Do you value people who speak up or people who go along? And no answer is right or wrong here. Know which you are. You're like my wife. My wife's very introverted. I'm very extroverted. And like, if you can't tell, Doesn't make one of us right and one of us wrong, but we are constantly trying to remind ourselves, like, okay, here, this is your approach. Not everyone thinks that way. I'm like, well, okay, I'm also an engineer, so I don't understand why people don't think the way I think. But okay, so I'll pause for a minute and think, what is this? It's not right or wrong. It's different. What work modality do you use? Now, here's a concept that has changed so much post-COVID. Are we remote? Are we hybrid? Do you need people in the offices? Why do you need them in the offices? And we'll do a future webinar on work modalities. And I don't want to get too much into it on this one, but you could spend days on this concept. Then, before I get to the final one, once you have your avatar defined, I have mine defined, right? And then I stole this out of my son's Lego kit. I have my Lego man. This represents my avatar, my customer base. These are the people who I want to talk to every day. This is you guys. He stands right here on my keyboard, right in front of me on the monitor stand. When you are marketing and you're messaging people, talk to one person. Do not try to talk to everybody. You won't be successful. I talk to Spaceman. I talk to him when I'm writing a post, when I'm doing anything. I look at him and I think, what does he want to hear? What's going to be meaningful to him? How am I going to move his world forward? Then I want you to spend some time and I want you to analyze, what does success look like in your organization? And what does failure look like? And you need to know failure because you need to know why people failed. What caused them to fail? Was it the job design? Was it the person? Was there some other thing that caused it? Next, who are you as a company? What product do you make? What and take this to the next level. Now think like Zig Ziglar and all those old sales trainings, right? What problem do you solve for your customer? Because the only reason business exists is to sell products. And the only reason products exist is because they solve problems. So if people didn't have problems, we wouldn't sell products. And I go back to one of my favorite business books, and it's a big read, but I recommend everybody read it. And it's called Thou Shalt Prosper by Rabbi Daniel Lapin. And what he says in the book is, think of a dollar bill as a certificate of appreciation. So when someone appreciates something you did, they give you one of these certificates. So the more you can get, the more people appreciate the work you did, the more of these certificates that you get. So work is about helping many people. You help enough people's dreams come true, so will yours. What is your company culture? And not just the one you put on the bulletin board, but what's the real story? So I worked for a company where they had a gym and a workout room, and it was all encouraging and it all was great. There was healthy living signs everywhere. Go work out, go work out, go work out. But you know what happened? The COO used to walk by the gym and he used to send me notes and say, so-and-so's in the gym again. And I used to always challenge him and say, look, this is either going to be something we think is right or wrong. So don't talk about what people are, talk about what performance is. And then finally, how do people grow, develop, and nourish at your company? What happens to them when they're here? Do they stagnate or do they grow? Next, who are your customers? So who is the ideal customer? And what makes that customer unique? You know, think about another avatar here. What problems are you going to solve for them? And more importantly, why do they care? What's different as a result of this? We had, when I was at Pepsi, we had this motivational speaker, and he was fantastic. And he told me a story that he tipped the doorman, and he gave the doorman, I think he gave him $100. But anyways, he said, thank you. Because if it wasn't for you handling that baggage the way you did, I wouldn't have my material and I wouldn't be able to present. And then the team here wouldn't have been able to get the message I'm trying to share with them. That's where you get the power, when you can make those connections and understand, okay, so people want to come to me because we make good quality brakes, and then their family is safe in their vehicle because we did a good job. This is a powerful connection. And I also want you to think a little bit about, why do they choose to work with you? What makes you different from your competitors? See, now you're starting to think like the business. So now when you start to engage the hiring managers, you're going to engage them around these concepts. You're going to change your relationship with them. Then, why does anybody even want to work at this company? So what is your total reward? What's your compensation look like? What do your benefits look like? What's your learning? What's your training? What are all the things that go into the pie? And for those of you who have ever heard me speak live or to one of the work groups, you know I like to talk about the concept of a cake. Total rewards is don't talk about the flour, don't talk about the eggs, don't talk about the milk, talk about the whole product. However, in today's game, total rewards is table stakes. All that does is get you to the game. It doesn't do anything to differentiate you. It's everything on those previous slides that's going to differentiate you. So you understand how me choosing to be an HR person at your company, how am I going to change? What's my life going to look like differently in 5 years? How am I going to add value? And how did I impact other people? There is your employment value proposition. Those are the things you have to pull together to show people. And then what you get to at the end of all of this is meaningful work. Because now I'm doing meaningful work. And I can remember going back again to Frito-Lay. My office was in a plant, and right outside of my office was accounts payable and accounts receivables. And there was a young lady there, and she was phenomenal. She was frustrated. She hated it. She hated the guy who led her. She hated everything about her job. And I finally one day said to her, I said, let's think about your job for a minute. Like, think about what you do. It doesn't matter. She goes, anyone could do it. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I said, no. You are one of the most important people in the company. I said, because if we don't manufacture stuff well, if we don't get good products in, we can't manufacture good products. So if you don't pay our suppliers right and on time, they're not going to give us the high quality, best quality. So that's very important. Oh yeah, that is important. So then the other side, if we can't collect from our customers, why are we even doing this? Like, so we've got to have that good positive cash flow. So you impact cash flow. And one of our big goals is to have 5x cash turnover and not age anything over 90 days. You drive that. Oh, wow, you're right. Now, what did I do for her? She changed. She changed from becoming a clerk processing paperwork to a person delivering one of our most critical goals of days of cash on hand. She changed from somebody just pushing paper back and forth from suppliers to someone guaranteeing we had good product to getting good results back from our customers. Like, that's what we have to do. Help people do meaningful work. How do I fit in the picture? And how do I make things happen? Now, I kind of moved kind of quick through this material. Scrolling across the bottom is how you get a hold of me, how you get a hold of Michael. But I wanted to make sure we give Michael enough time because he wants to talk to us a little bit about, once you understand all of these things, how do you take it to market? Right? There's a lot of people that have academically brilliant solutions that are sitting in their closet. So Michael, I'm going to jump in here and share with us a little bit about your thoughts.
Absolutely. Yeah, thanks, Eric. And actually, I was making some notes here because you made a lot of good points. So hi, everyone. I'm Michael Wenning. A little background on me. I've been recruiting for just about 8 years now and never would have thought I would end up doing this work because, not to date myself, but back in 2013, I got put in the most miserable job ever by a recruiter. It was so miserable, it actually made me go back to school, which honestly, I didn't think was possible. But when I was coming out of school, I found meaning in my work because I like to help people, and I thought in recruiting, I could help people move forward for a living, whether it was a pay raise or a promotion. So that was the meaning that I found in my work. And over the last 8 years, I started my own staffing company back in 2017. And, Eric, you made the good point about the salesperson and used cars. And I've always had the same vibe. And I follow the words of Aristotle, who said, you can't convince a person of anything. You can only help them find the answer within themselves. And that's the way I go about recruiting. And I think that's the reason why over 90% of the candidates I've ever placed are still with their current company. And the reason that is I'm not just trying to match up, hey, do you have 5 years of this to 5 years of that? No. Whenever I sit down with a company, I ask them, all right, the best talent isn't on job boards. The best talent's currently working. And in a perfect world, I go to your biggest competitor, I take their best player, and I bring them over to your team. So what is so great about working here that would make me want to leave my current job to come and work for your company? And there's a couple of things that Eric has touched on that I'll hammer home as well. It's just a couple of good pieces of advice. Number one, be yourself. I think a big problem a lot of companies make is they try to appeal to everyone. And to Eric's point is, no, you want to know who your ideal, whether it's your customer, your employees, and be yourself. Be clear about the benefits you offer. I have some companies are like, yeah, we have matching, we have 401k, but it's not a matching 401k. And it's like, so 401k is great. There are plenty of companies out there that don't offer this. And there are plenty of people that look for these things, especially when it comes to total compensation. I also say, be clear about your salary expectations. Well, yes, you might think, oh, if I post my salary range, it might limit my ability to find candidates. And yeah, okay, as a recruiter, it's not a bad thing to have 100 people to sort through instead of 200 people. But what is a bad thing is you're spending time talking to people that would never be a fit for the role and couldn't take the opportunity. Again, don't appeal to everyone, appeal to the right people, whether it's benefits or your compensation, or most importantly, your employee value proposition. And we see this more, I think, as a result of COVID, that people want to find meaning in their work. And as I mentioned, I always ask to these companies, why should I want to work here? That is how I recruit people, saying, okay, great. If you're unhappy with what you have here, well, here's what this company offers. What is the culture you have currently, but also what is the culture you're trying to build to? And a lot of, what I have conversation with on clients is, look, a culture isn't a bunch of people who look alike or think alike. That's a cult. A culture is a bunch of people of different backgrounds who are united by a common goal, a common mission of what they do. And that is the third part, is what is your mission? And more importantly, for me as a job seeker, how do I fit into that mission? Or how do I help you achieve? Eric, great story, is exactly that. Giving people a sense of purpose in their work is what's truly going to motivate them. You don't want those employees who are just waiting for Friday to come to collect their paycheck, because that is the antithesis of employee engagement, which is what leads productivity and profitability amongst companies. And so as you have yourself figured out, right, the introspective version of here's who we are, here's what we offer, and here's who we're looking to join, a big part of this is your social media, as you see right there on the screen. The saying is that our employer brand isn't what we say it is, it's what our employees and our customers say that it is. And so you want to be social, but there's some problems with the system that currently exists, which is why I began building my platform. And number one, no one is going to social media to research your company. Maybe if you're Apple, but that's about it. So what you're relying on are job boards, which are outdated. They use these one-dimensional job descriptions to try and get candidates engaged. And what I found when I was doing my market research and talking to job seekers is that for the good talent, about 70% of their time applying for a job, they're actually researching your company to see, okay, is this a place that I want to work? But the problem is that what you're hoping for right now is that your job description is so compelling that it's going to get this individual to go through 6 different sites to fully research your company. And believe it or not, that's the positive scenario, because the people who don't research your company are the ones who fall off during the interview process, or they turn over quickly, because then they get there and they're like, oh, wait, this is what I'm doing. Okay, never mind. I don't like it. And that turnover hurts your morale. It hurts your profitability. And then compound that with the fact that the best talent isn't on job boards. Over 90% of your most qualified candidates are already employed, and they're not actively looking for a new job. But 86% of them said, hey, I'd be interested in hearing about an opportunity if it came along with a better company. And that's what I focused on when I started. I was tasked with, hey, is there a way we could simplify job searching? And what I found was that, your Monsters, your Indeeds, your LinkedIns, those were built for companies to find people. No one's yet flipped the equation and said, okay, well, what if I make it easier for people to find the right company? That delivers your company instant employee engagement, lower turnover. And so what I did was I built this platform that essentially says, here is our company profile. Here is why it's such a great place to work. Here is who we are and what we're all about. And oh, by the way, here's what we're hiring for. And so as I leave you here, as I'm coming up against the time limit, please feel free to reach out to me. As Eric said, my email's down there, my phone number's down there. Whether you need recruiting help, you want to talk about the platform, or you're looking for a job and you want some advice, I am here to help. This is what my purpose is. But the 3 things I'll leave you with is embrace transparency, be unabashedly who you are, have a solid employee value proposition, and be social about what you're doing. Thanks, Eric.
Great. So some final takes, and then Michael, we got one question came in for you, but my final take says talent acquisition is a sales function. Don't be afraid of that word sales. Live it, love it, do it. Understand your product, understand your customer, understand your competition. Create an impact for people before day one. We didn't get to onboarding. I'm going to get another live on the schedule here pretty quickly to talk about onboarding, because I think it deserves its own whole pitch. And then use a partner like Wen to tell your story. And then 78% of people who left companies in the past 10 months have done so because they didn't feel like they didn't like the way the company made them feel. Let that hit home for you, because there is no harder thing to manage right now than that. So, Michael, the question that came in is, how do you balance using a partner like Wen to tell your story with the coaching we've always got about being humble?
Oh, that's a good point. I mean, my mother always told me that there's a difference between confidence and cockiness, right? Like, I have blue eyes. I'm not saying they're the most beautiful blue eyes in the world, but I have blue eyes. This is who we are as a company. And again, going back into, you can't convince a person anything. You can only help them find the answer within themselves. Your goal is to basically put your walls down. Don't have these barriers to entry. Say, here's who we are and here's what we do. We think we're great at it, sure. But what do you think?
I love it. Good, bad, or indifferent. This is who we are. And if you come here, this is where you're going to be. It's like lying on a first date. What are you going to get? You're going to get a relationship that's not going to be solid, or you're going to end up with someone you don't want to be with, right?
Exactly right.
So I don't know if there's any other questions and answers. I know we're up against the time limit. Thank you for joining. Michael, thank you for bringing your perspective. I could tell you, and I actually was just interviewed by this. His product is one of the technology things that I'm most excited about, and I can't wait to see where it goes as an HR leader. There's a lot of good things going on at CHRO Solutions. Give us a call, reach out to us. We offer a 1-hour free review where we'll go through you really exit with a mini org health document. We can put roadmaps together. If you're struggling with talent acquisition, we can help you. We can help reboot it. A lot of people have sent me their open rec list. I can help you prioritize it, figure out how to go after them, help you build avatars. It's Eric Tarigian. You can hit me up on LinkedIn, find me anywhere. And look, this HR Master Series, I'm really excited about it. I've got a CTO who's ready to join, a CISO. Susan Sanders, who's on here. We're going to get her to join one of them in the future if I can convince her of it. Even though, Michael, I've always heard your quote a little differently, was a person convinced against their will is of the same opinion still.
Great one. Yes, sir.
Okay, everybody. Thank you very much. Thanks for joining. As always, look forward to you. Engage. Let's interact on LinkedIn. Let's build a community, and let's show the world how real HR is done. Thanks.
Thank you, Eric. Thanks, everyone.